It's the best way to start your NFL Sunday. Welcome everybody back to Sunday Morning Slants. I'm your host, Matt Watson, joined alongside Mason and Kyle. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
I'm doing
Pretty
well.
good.
Eagles won, so
Yeah. So, what a week in the NFL. I think this past week might have been one of the more fun weeks that we've had in quite some time. I know I'm a little biased in saying that, but I felt like there was a lot of fun action around the league. So we're going to be breaking that down on this edition of Sunday Morning Slant. So as we have been doing, we're going to just go around talking about a game that we watched over the weekend, some of our takeaways, and then we'll talk more about what's coming up ahead in Week 8. So Kyle, I'll start with you. What was a game that you watched over the weekend, and what were some of your main takeaways from that game?
yeah, man, I'm gonna talk about the Eagles Vikings because a lot of storylines going into this game. Philly was at a fever pitch, to put it lightly. They were people were not happy after the big blowout to the Giants. So there's a lot of pressure on Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and just the offense in general to really get things back on the road. And the offense looked a little bit better. At the start, I think they had three and outs in their first 4 drives, so that's not ideal. Still, some things to still clean up, but Jalen was slinging it. A lot of criticism early in the season. Some of it is warranted because he has not played up to standard, but this game he was electric, man. I mean, anything he wanted, he got, and he kind of did it a little bit despite of the uncreative play calling at the start, and with no run game to speak of, and the O-line being banged up. It's probably his most impressive game if you take away the added bonus of it being a Super Bowl, because I think his 2 Super Bowls are obviously better. But like just pure stat-wise and play-wise, I think this was probably the best game of his career. Devontae Smith, 7th in the league in receiving yards. So that's kind of crazy to me. I did not expect that, but he's had 2 huge weeks. He's coming up big. AJ starting to rev up again. I know he's been very vocal about his beliefs of where he lies in the offense, which I think an alpha like that, he has sort of that right to do. But yeah, he's revving up. Devontae's firing. So I think pass game's good. Now they got to get not good. Patullo still has some work to do. But Jalen was 4 for 4 under center play action. First time they ran it all season. Like 130 yards. So like clearly there was something there that they found. So hopefully they can build on that. Maybe get Saquon involved a little bit. And I think the offense could start humming again, thankfully. And then Vikings, I mean, their defense is nasty. It's always going to be nasty, but Jalen just torched them. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching vintage Carson Wentz. That was electric, man. Somehow, always a negative play, no matter what. Like, it hurt my soul a little bit to see, like, someone I really looked up to when I was younger just totally just shit the bed. Like half it's not even his fault. Like getting lit up on a throw and throwing a pick six or throwing a fumble backwards. Like that's just vintage Carson Wentz, and it's a lot better when it's not on your team.
Yeah, I thought the intentional grounding play was hilarious, and that one really was just that was awesome, electric.
Dude, and he still threw for like 300 yards.
Yeah, he still. Yeah, it was
awesome.
nuts. I mean, I feel like most of those just were. I mean, the Eagles secondary definitely needs some help because I mean these dudes were just. He probably missed like 3 wide open touchdown passes where if he just led the guy and the guy didn't have to dive or fall over while he was catching it, they would have been walk-ins. But
yeah, the defense is a little concerning, but I mean they're really banged up. Nolan Smith's out. Brandon Graham's going to come back, drop 10 sacks in 8 games.
What a shame. What a shame.
But like, I think if it comes down to the D line, they're kind of not getting any pressure. They're dealing with injuries, and like I think Jalen Carter's still a little banged up. Nolan Smith's out. So hopefully, as they get more healthy, maybe make a trade deadline acquisition for some old washed up dude that doesn't do anything for 12 weeks. Maybe we'll get defense will be back on track. But small progress. I'm not going to say we're back, but we're back. We're better than we were a week ago, and that's about all I can ask for when you get the doors blown off you by the New York Giants. So, which the Broncos almost did.
Almost is a strong word there, but we'll get there. I think my favorite play of the Vikings-Eagles game was the arm punt Carson threw on like 3rd and 10 on their own 5. He just heaved it down the field. There was no reason for him to throw off balance, but he decided to anyway. And he just hucked it downfield to nobody. I think it was Andrew Makuba that got the pick. He threw it right at him. Like there was there wasn't even close. And I just could not understand. Carson Wentz might be the funniest football player of all time. I think him and Jameis Winston would make for all-time TV if they were ever to face off against each other, because that'd be just quite a matchup. But I do want to touch on the Brandon Graham thing a little bit. I know. So he obviously, if you haven't seen by now, he announced that he'll be back with the Eagles for the rest of the season, coming out of retirement after retiring at the end of last year. And I just think he obviously wants to play, so happy for him there. I'm sure he's going to get a nice contract to come back and play. But the fact that the Eagles could not find a suitable replacement for him, and they are dragging a man who's, I believe, 36 or 37 years old out of retirement to play defensive end because they have no other options, I think is just a horrible look for a team that had Super Bowl aspirations heading into the season. I don't understand how you can go into a year trying to compete for a Super Bowl and not have a number one pass rusher. Like, I know that they expected Nolan Smith to be that guy and to take that next step, but there was no depth behind him in the event that he got hurt, or even in the event that he just wasn't as dominant as they might projected him to be. And then he did get hurt, so now they have quite literally nobody. Zadarius Smith joined the team 3 weeks into the season, played for 3 weeks, and said, "You know what? I think I'm good. I'm going to go back to not playing anymore." I just think it's a really bad look, and for everybody who loves to praise Howie Roseman, I mean, all these trades that he made before the season started, the deal for Tank Bigsby and the deal for Ja'Cory Bennett, after every move, it was like, Howie season, here he goes again. Howie fleeced another team. And it's like, did he fleece these other teams? Is he really cooking? Because the Eagles defense, outside of a few star players who are really, filling in the gaps of other players, I just think that their defense is not Super Bowl quality, and I think it's going to come back to bite them when they start playing some of these elite quarterbacks in big time games.
I mean, my only counter to that is in 2022, their run defense was so bad they signed Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph off the couch like halfway through the season just to try to remedy their run defense. So this isn't the first time they've done this, but I agree. Like, their plan was clearly to hope Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt take that next step. But Jalen Hunt is a second-year player from FCS, like not even Power 5 school.
FCS school,
Yeah, FCS school. So Sam Houston. So, and he converted safety. So, like, he's got a lot to learn. Like, he's shown incredible flashes, but it's a lot to put on his second-year player's shoulder to sort of take up the mantle of being the first or second pass rusher. So I think they really missed Josh Sweat more than maybe expected, because he was at least some sort of writing of the ship, so to speak, to where like they knew Josh Sweat he was productive. He has had maybe not multiple, but he's had 10 sack season. So you know what you're getting from him. You can kind of build everything else around that. Whereas when you lose that plus BG, now you're asking Nolan Smith, a third-year player, and Jalen Hunt, a second-year player, to sort of step up into that role. And maybe they could have, but Nolan Smith got hurt and kind of threw the whole plan off. So hope maybe with the bye week they'll come back stronger. But yeah, they're the edge talent leaves a lot to be desired, but their linebackers might make up for it, because it looks like they have 3 incredible linebackers. So it's like an inverse Howie. The D-line is awful, but you got crazy linebackers, who would have thought.
Yeah, definitely a switch up. So, all right, yeah. Who did the Eagles have this weekend?
Giants.
That's right. So the Giants were coming off quite the loss. Will try and get their second win of the season against the Eagles in the and all within 3 weeks, which is ridiculous scheduling by the NFL. Absolutely atrocious. But
they play the Commanders twice in the last 3 weeks as well.
Yeah, I think every team has a couple like division games wrapped like that. I think it's not universal across the board, but most teams I think have it. So just awful scheduling by the league. But Mason, I'll go to you.
Scheduling.
Yeah, exactly. Like somebody trying to create a fantasy football schedule, and they go, "Hey, can you set this up?" That's what they did. But Mason, I'll go to you. What was the game that you watched over the weekend, and what were some of your takeaways from that matchup?
All right, so we're going to talk some more NFC East ball. Big matchup against the Commanders and Cowboys. I think we circled this one a little bit last week on the episode, because we talked about whoever lost this game was looking a little bit fraudy, a little bit like they weren't going to end up competing this year. And I think that's what it looks like for the Commanders right now. I mean, Jaden Daniels continues to get hurt along with the whole rest of their lineup. it's a Josh Harris masterclass. Nobody saw this one coming. Signing a bunch of old heads, and look at that, half the roster is on IR right now. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. We talked about their schedule coming up soon. I mean, the next 3 games, I know 2 of them are at home. I think the Lions and the Seahawks, but I mean, I don't think the Commanders have that much of a home field advantage, and those are 2 really tough teams right now who are atop the NFC, and I don't see a chance in hell in the Commanders with either no Jaden Daniels or half of capacity of Jaden Daniels going into Arrowhead and winning next week. So I mean, yeah, I mentioned it could look like 3-7 in a few weeks, and I think the Commanders just dropped the easiest game of this 4-game gauntlet that they have going on. And for the Cowboys, I mean, it's a pretty big swing game for them as well. I think they kind of look like they were starting to look dead after that Panthers loss. And they look like the one team I wasn't worried about in the NFC East. And now a week later, they kind of look like the only team that's going to compete at this point. I mean, the offense, when healthy and CeeDee Lamb's in there, is firing all cylinders. It looks like they're going to average about like 35 points a game at this rate. And probably beat up on a lot of bad teams. And I mean, listen, if the Cowboys came into Philly, or I guess we would have to go there now. And the night, like if the Cowboys and Eagles played right now, the Cowboys would probably put up 50 on this defense. I will not lie to you. If Dak had that much time that Carson had this week, and with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens running out there, it'd probably be a 50 piece. So, I mean, yeah, it could be interesting in the NFC East here, depending on how the Eagles start shaping up in the next couple weeks. But looking like the Commanders are buried to me at this point.
Damn, get the shovel out for the Washington Commanders. Not sorry about it. Even though I did pick them to win the East, that's not looking great. Maybe the Giants will end that curse. But no, kind of just going back to the Commanders. Yeah, just a lifeless performance. I think Jaden Daniels, we did talk about it last week. His health being always going to be a factor with the style of quarterback that he is, and we're seeing the results of that. He's not healthy right now, and because of that, the Commanders are suffering. I think Marcus Mariota is a fine backup, but they're asking him to do way too much at this point with the amount of time he's played early in the season. And the fact that the Cowboys' offense has just been dynamic, and I don't really know if anybody can stop them. I just feel as though you could beat the Cowboys because the Cowboys' defense can't stop anybody, and that's how you're going to win games. It's going to be a shootout. So be interesting to see how they play against the Broncos this weekend. One of the better defenses in the league. How will that match up against the Cowboys' offense, and then vice versa? How will the Broncos' offense look against the Cowboys' defense? So that'll be fun to watch. But looking at Dallas' schedule though, they are in Denver this week, but then they get the Cardinals and the Raiders, which aren't very good teams. But then they go on a run of Eagles, Chiefs, Lions. That's pretty tough. You have the Chargers, Commanders late in the year. Jaden Daniels, I would expect to play. So if Dallas is going to make the playoffs, they have to go on an incredible run, and I think they have to go through the division because the NFC is loaded. I think every team in the playoffs is 5-2 right now, minus the Packers, who are 4-1-1. So to make the playoffs in the NFC this year, you're going to have to honestly, you're going to have to win your division or be right behind your division leader because otherwise you're not getting in.
Oh yeah, it's NFC as a whole is a freaking bloodbath. That is crazy. You can make an argument. The Bucks, when healthy, they'll win the NFC. You can make the argument. The Seahawks, they look amazing. And then obviously you have the Niners, who even though they're rocking the hospital lineup, they're still 5-2. So you expect as they get healthy. Granted, they lost more for the season, but they could also make a run. So I think any of those top, other than the Bears, I don't think the Bears are making a run. But anyone else in that top 7, I think you can make the argument to win the NFC. So it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal playoffs, and Eagles got to shape up because the Cowboys. One thing about Dak is even though people give him a lot of crap for his playoff performances in the regular season, he is electric. Like he finished second in MVP voting a couple years ago. As an Eagles fan, obviously I love to shit on the Cowboys, but like Dak can put up stats, and now I think he has the best wide receiver duo he's ever had. And Javonte Williams' resurgence is also helping. So I think Pickens is a clear number 1, and so is CD. So I think their offense is lethal. Their defense is. If their defense improves at all, they're going to be a serious problem. So that's all I'll say about that. Because the Eagles got to figure their shit out, or else the Cowboys are going to come creeping.
Yeah, maybe they use one of those picks they got from Micah Parsons, or now that they have those additional picks from that Parsons trade, maybe they use some of their other capital to go out and make a move and get a guy. I know people are floating Troy Hendrickson to Dallas if the
They're gonna
Bengals are
trade.
going to look their
They're gonna,
shot. So
they're gonna trade both the first to freaking Oakland for Vegas for Max Crosby, and they're basically just gonna swap Micah for Max.
seems like a Jerry Jones kind of move, but that would be interesting. I wouldn't mind that, getting him out of the division, but that'd be interesting to see if the Cowboys attack the trade deadline, which isn't. I think the trade deadline in recent years in football is starting to pick up some steam. I think in years past it really was just one or two deals that you would see. So I think we're finally starting to see it kind of get like Major League Baseball, where the trade deadline is fun to watch because guys are flipping. I think you're starting to see that a little bit more in the NFL. So be interesting to see who does get dealt, if anybody does, of consequence at the trade deadline in a couple of weeks. But all right, so the game that I watched, and obviously everybody knows here, I'm the Denver Broncos fan on this podcast, was the Broncos and the Giants. And if you clicked on this video from the thumbnail, you could see what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's honestly the greatest collapse, I think, in NFL history. I think it's right up there with the Falcons at the Super Bowl.
There's no way it's worse.
Probably not just because of the stakes. Obviously, the biggest game of the year, and the Falcons choked it. But I think in terms of probability and just pure math, I think what the Giants did was far worse than what the Falcons did. Teams were 1,032-0 when leading by 18 points with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Giants are the first team in NFL history to lose under the circumstances. But yeah, they were leading the Broncos 19-0 heading into the fourth quarter. The Broncos offense looked lethargic. They looked like a JV high school offense playing up against a D2 college football team. It just was non-competitive. They could not move the ball. The Giants were moving the ball pretty well against the Broncos defense. I will say it's still within Jackson Dart's first few weeks, so not as much tape. They always say the first 4 weeks is when teams finally can get some good tape to use against a quarterback. But I'll also admit, I think that being on the field for a large majority of the game did affect the Broncos defense because the offense couldn't maintain any drives. But regardless, I still don't think they played very crisp. The Broncos were coming off 2 straight road games. They played in London last week and did not take a bye, which Sean Payton had requested from the league, which I think is moronic, but we'll get into Sean Payton a little bit more in a minute. But overall, the Broncos got lucky that the Giants are this awful because they did not deserve that win in the slightest. And obviously, they had to work their asses off to come back, and they nearly lost the game 4 different times. But I think overall, I think it kind of goes to the point. They're 5-2 now. They'd be 6-1 if they didn't have that penalty at the end of the Colts game, in which a missed field goal got called back. They moved the ball 15 yards. The Colts showed the game winner. The difference between the Broncos being the 1 seed in the AFC right now and just a division leader is that call. But this was not a game that deserved the win. I'll give Bo Nix credit. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to have 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in the same quarter. Never been done before, which I thought was crazy. And he really put the team on his back in that fourth quarter. But I look at this more as just a complete clusterfuck from the Giants than a Denver Broncos comeback, because holy shit, I could not believe it. And as I was watching it, and it didn't feel real, and it still kind of doesn't feel real, because how the hell do you blow a 19-0 lead in the fourth and an 18-point lead with 6 to go? I just can't believe it.
Dude, you guys won your Super Bowl 2 weeks ago. Now you had a huge comeback this week. You guys are on cloud 9.
We're on a heater.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you guys almost lost after holding the Jets under 100 yards of total offense. So I wouldn't say you're totally back yet. Not when the Chiefs look as good as they've looked in years. So I think it's going to be good in the AFC West. I don't know if I can hold on to my Broncos prediction now. I think the boogeyman's coming. It's right on your tail.
I don't know. I think if the Broncos want to be a legit playoff team, they need to go out and get a wide receiver at the trade deadline. Whether it's, Chris Olave from the Saints, whether it's Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins, they need a legitimate threat.
A.J. Brown.
Yeah, A.J. Brown from the Eagles. Dude's still tweeting.
That would never happen. I would step in and say no.
You would think it would never happen, but crazier things have happened in the NFL. But yeah, they need a legitimate wide receiver. I think Courtland Sutton is a really good number 2, but he's not a number 1. And then they don't have anybody around him. Mims, Franklin, they're just not getting it done. The third-round rookie, Pat Bryant, is not good enough. I believe he has more penalties than he does catches this season. He's just not getting it done.
Oh, we lost
Nope.
Matt. We lost
Dude.
Matt.
He was
And
cooking.
now I can spew my Broncos agenda. I think Bo Nix isn't even the best brother in the Nix family. I think actually Tez Johnson is better.
Good
So,
take.
how much of that? Oh, now Matt's cooked. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Tez Johnson is the best Nix brother, clearly. Last week he had that electric catch, fingertip length, grabbed it. This week he had a crazy 30-yard touchdown. Baker missed him on another one. It could have been a 2-touchdown night. So, I mean, Bo Nix is Bo Picks. Tez Johnson is him. So, I think overall, Tez Johnson is the better Nix brother. I'll make the rules. And if the Broncos had him, imagine Buddy Ball, but it's with your own brother. That would have been crazy. But instead, give him to Baker, and Baker's cooking with him. Yeah, Matt can't even defend his quarterback.
Can't even defend himself.
Can't even defend himself.
Tough.
We're going to talk about some Chiefs now then. Oh,
Can you not hear me?
no, I hear you now.
Are the Chiefs really back? I keep seeing the Chiefs are back. I don't think the Chiefs
Bro, the
are actually back.
Chiefs scored on like 52.3% of their drives or some shit. They are back.
Nah, I think the Lions laid down and died, and the Raiders absolutely stink. I mean, they're going to start stacking wins here because they got the Commanders next week at home. They're not going to lose that. And then it's Bills Chiefs again, and we'll see if the Bills start to put it back together. But I mean,
look at how the Bills get covered compared to how the Eagles get covered. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know why the Bills get the benefit of the doubt when the Eagles just won a Super Bowl.
Because Josh Allen is the media darling, whereas Jalen Hurts gets hated on because people have preconceived notions from college and they don't want to admit they're wrong. So,
I mean, let's be real here. The Panthers are kind of back on the come up. Ethan's pick to make the playoffs. If the Panthers somehow beat Buffalo and they drop 3 straight,
that would be sentiment. Oh my gosh!
Would love to know the line on this one. It's in Carolina. 7.5 points for the Bills.
I think the Panthers could do it.
I'm taking the Panthers plus the points. I don't think they'll beat Buffalo.
Taking Panthers.
I think it'll be closer though. Oh, you're gonna take Panthers.
You don't think a bounce back after the bye week? I mean, is Bryce Young definitely going to be back?
And,
what was his injury?
Oh, Andy Dalton. I think he's out. Andy Dalton.
I think Andy Dalton's playing, but I think they're better with Andy Dalton. If I'm going to be honest.
The Red Rocket.
The Red Rocket.
This is a Andy Dalton podcast.
Yeah, mix.
But okay. So I just wanted to touch on Sean Payton. So I don't know if you haven't seen it yet. Sean Payton made a comment after, I think it was after the Broncos game. I don't necessarily know the timeline on it, but he basically revealed the conversation he had with Giants owner John Mara, where in a sense he said, we were hoping you wouldn't have switched off of Russ to Jackson Dart by the time you played us, insinuating that he wanted to play Russell Wilson and that the Broncos would have a better chance against Russ. Russ came out after the game, I believe it was earlier this morning, and basically came out and straight up called Sean Payton classless. And then he made a comment about how he's still hunting bounties 15 years later through the media, which I thought was hilarious. That was a fantastic clapback. Sean Payton, and I'm a Broncos fan saying this, I don't get the hype of Sean Payton. I really don't. I don't think he's a very good play caller anymore. I think he's living off the hype of the Drew Brees-led Super Bowl. And as a Peyton Manning fan, it hurts me to say, but I think Peyton Manning choked that game away more than the Saints went out there and won it. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. I think Sean Payton sniffs his own ego too often to be really considered to be a great coach. I think it was distasteful, his comments on Russ. Let it go. Like, he's no longer on your team. You didn't bring him in. You dealt with him for a year. You got your guy now. I don't understand why you have to keep talking about Russ, but especially when you're kicking a guy when he's down. I just didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah, reminded me of that 50 Cent meme where he was talking about Floyd Mayweather, and he's like, "What are you saying fuck me for?" That's what it felt like. It's like Russ. What did Russ do? Like, yeah, I mean, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It sounds like based on like how Richard Sherman talks about him, it doesn't sound like he's the most likable person behind closed doors, but we have no idea. So, like, for Sean Payton to just come out and say that is crazy. And it's not even the first time he's done this. He's put down J.J. McCarthy to make himself look like a mastermind for getting Bo Nix. And J.J. McCarthy is just like, what the hell, dude? So, like, at this point, I don't know why, as an executive of any team, you would ever even talk to Sean Payton, because if you say anything controversial, or you don't even have to do anything. He could say something to you, and then he goes and tells everybody what he said, and now you're grouped into drama that you had nothing to do with. So I think it's just, I don't know, like, if he did that stuff in like any other major city, I think the radio stations would be on fire, especially after almost losing to the Giants, for a coach to come out and say that. I think if you were in Philly, New York, Dallas, like any of those areas, they'd
be ripping him apart.
They'd be ripping him apart in their thick accents, whether it's Southern accent from Dallas or that Hoag's mouth up here. It would be Broncos. They're all high and they don't care. So Denver is cool, but yeah, traded a first-round pick for that.
Yeah. The pick in a sense, we traded Bradley Chubb for him because we got the pick from trading Bradley Chubb. So that worked out. Yeah. Well, they made the playoffs last year, and they're looking good this year. So whatever.
Broncos in the playoff.
Yeah, going back, we're gonna win the West.
Win the West.
Chargers had about a decade after the Broncos stopped winning the division every year to finally put forth an effort. They let the Chiefs come and lap them, and now the Broncos are back to reclaim the AFC West.
Are back now.
I mean, they are. They made the playoffs last year. Looking like they're going to make the playoffs again. Justin Herbert's throwing picks again. Chargers are losing. It just feels like old reliable coming back.
Yeah, but you're ignoring the big elephant in the room here, which is the team that's red that plays in Kansas City.
Not worried about them. Broncos beat them last year. Don't you remember? Yeah, not worried about the Chiefs.
Didn't Carson Wentz play in that game?
Yeah, he did. Regardless, Mahomes is like 15-1 against the Broncos all time, but he plays like crap every time. So, just putting that out there. Okay, I did want to talk about Sunday Night Football. Speaking of some revenge and going back and playing old teams and whatnot, Aaron Rodgers will play the Green Bay Packers for the first time in his career when the Steelers host the Packers on Sunday Night Football. It is in Pittsburgh, not Green Bay. I wish it wasn't in I wish it was in Green Bay. That would have been awesome. But what do you guys expect to see from Rodgers in this quote-unquote revenge game? And do you think the Steelers can stick it to Green Bay?
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers is so hard to predict because his own team doesn't even know if he's coming back until he goes on a little retreat and does some hard drugs. So, I mean, like, I have no idea how he's going to react. Like, he might not care at all. I think he probably hates the Jets way more than he hates the Packers at this point. Because at least he has some fond memories of Green Bay, so maybe he'll just be like, whatever, we had to go our separate ways, and he kind of won't think about it. Or he could like go out and probably get like 7 taunting penalties because he's so fired up. So who knows? It's going to be an awesome game either way because Steelers, even though they dropped one last week, not much you can do against the GOAT Joe Flacco when he's playing buddy ball with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I think it'll be a good game. Packers have shown to be a little weak in some areas, so maybe Steelers can exploit that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers goes out there, slings it to DK. And, yeah, so we'll see. But I think it'll be a good game, close game. But I think, unfortunately, I think the Packers are probably going to win it.
All right, Mace, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what the line is on this, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Hard to get a read on these teams, I feel like. I mean, I feel like the Steelers have, I guess, overperformed at this point. We didn't really know what we were getting out of Aaron Rodgers, and I think the defense has been a little bit underwhelming. But, I mean, they're 4-2 at this point, and I think the Packers have lost the game they shouldn't have lost, have had games be closer than they should have been. So, I mean, I think this could definitely go either way. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like all the Packers games have been way too close for what they talk about themselves being and talk about going undefeated, they've had a lot of close games against some mediocre teams. I mean, that game against the Cardinals should not have been that close. I guess you could say the same thing about the Bengals. I mean, it was 9 points, but so yeah, I don't know. See if the Packers start heating up a little bit, but I don't think they look like world beaters right now, like maybe some people expected them to be. So I think this is a winnable game for the Steelers, but definitely could see it going either way.
All right, so this is where my agenda starts. So buckle up for this one.
Oh boy.
The Steelers lead the AFC North. They are 4-2. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. Lamar Jackson should be back this week. They get the Bears at home.
Ooh.
I like the Ravens in this one. Where do they go next? The Dolphins. I like the Ravens in that one. Who do they have next? The Vikings. I like the Ravens in that one. Who do they have next? The Browns. I like the Ravens in that one. Who do they have after that? The Jets. I like the Ravens. After
12-5.
The Bengals. I like the Ravens. Then they play the Steelers. Could go either way. It's in
They're
Baltimore.
going to drop one of those games.
Yeah, dude,
Probably drop one of the Steelers games. So maybe that's the loss right there. Then you get the Bengals again. And then the Patriots, Packers, and Steelers to round it out.
Joe Burrow is probably back for that second one.
He might be back for that second one. And then for the Steelers, they get the Packers, obviously. They get the 6-1 Colts the week after. They go to the Chargers. They play the Bengals, which, I mean, with Flacco, I don't know. I mean, it was pretty. They lost. They just lost to Flacco.
You can't say, "Oh yeah, Ravens at the layup to beat the Bengals," but who knows?
I don't know. The Bengals did just beat the Steelers.
The Ravens' defense is horrible.
It is horrible, but Lamar's back, so trust. And then the Steelers.
I don't say it.
The Steelers still have the Bills. We mentioned the Ravens. They had the Lions at the end of the year. I think this is where it flips. I think the Ravens are going to go on an all-time heater, and I think the Steelers are going to collapse. I think this 4-2 record is a facade. I think that the Ravens are going to win the division, take them now. Best odds you'll get all year. The Ravens are going to come back to win the AFC North, and the Steelers will begin to crumble.
What's your number for the Ravens to get in? Because I don't think that's feasible.
11 wins gets them the division.
So they're gonna go 10-1.
Yes.
You're
I'll take
nuts.
the Bengals to win the division over the Ravens. I still think the Steelers
10-1.
win.
I just don't. I mean, even with Lamar, how many games did he play? Did he just play the first 2?
Played 4 games, and then he got injured in the Chiefs game.
So they lost the Bills
3.5.
game. That was close. They lost against the Lions, and then he got hurt in the Chiefs game.
Yeah, Lamar had 10 passing touchdowns, 1 pick. I don't think he had 1 rushing touchdown in that stretch. He was killing
if their defense was dominant, I could see it, but the defense is going to lose them.
Yeah, Lamar
at
is
least
not
one
the
of these games.
Lamar is going to play like an MVP. The issue is his defense is hot cross buns. So
and then the end of the season, the schedule toughens back up. So even if you run the table right now, you're telling me they're going to get through the Bengals, maybe with Joe Burrow, the Patriots, who look good right now, the Packers, and they're going to drop one of the Steelers games. So your one loss is already one of the Steelers games. Guaranteed, lock it in. House money.
They'll win the rest.
And then they're not losing any of those other games.
I guess we'll see.
I will say, the defense held the Rams to 17 points before the bye.
Maybe they round out. They did the same thing last year, but I don't know. This year seems worse. This year they seem.
It's a shame that they didn't get. It's a shame that they started with Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City like that. An insane start to the year. Like if they played one of these, like if they played the Dolphins, for example, Cooper Rush probably could have gotten a win. Like that's just how bad the Dolphins are, and you could have been a little more viable. But no, I think the Ravens, who were my Super Bowl pick, so there might be a little slight bias in this agenda that I'm pushing. But I think the Ravens can run the table. They will drop one game. They will win the AFC North, and people are gonna be like, "Holy shit!" And Lamar Jackson's gonna win his 3rd MVP. Lock it in tonight.
I don't know if Lamar will have the counting stats, but I think per game he'll have MVP level numbers. I agree with you with that, but I don't know. They're gonna. He missed how many games? 2, 3 games. They're not gonna give it to him. But I agree.
Yeah, but I think because record has really affected the MVP voting the last few years more than I feel like it did prior. And I think I think the media narrative around Lamar, if he was able to pull that off, would be holy shit! Look what Lamar Jackson just did with the Ravens.
Yeah, I guess because there's no clear cut. Like MVP right now. Like
Dude,
there's a lot
Pat
of guys playing
Mahomes
good.
Daniel
is
Jones.
now leading right now.
Pat
Yeah.
Mahomes is playing good, but like if Josh Allen was playing amazing, then I would say no. But like the media loves to play favorites, and Lamar has gotten that pedigree of being an MVP finalist. So I could see the media just being like, "Oh, we don't care that he missed 3 games. This is his per game stats, and it's amazing. Look at his EPA per play, all that kind of stuff." So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but I don't know. I think that 3 games is gonna hurt him. That's like a full. It's like 700 yards, probably like freaking 6 or 7 touchdowns, 8. So like I don't know. I think taking that out might hurt his chances, but who knows?
We'll see. I mean, they got to do it first, but I think overall that could be
I'm not agreeing
one
over
hell
on
of
the
a run.
table, but I am agreeing that his numbers will be insane.
I'm telling you, I don't know what the odds are for the Ravens to win the division, for them to make the playoffs even, and for Lamar to win MVP. But I would take all of them right now. In fact, I think after this recording, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
Ravens are actually look like they're still almost even odds with the Steelers. The Steelers are plus 130 and the Ravens are plus 135. So
not as good as I was expecting.
Vegas agrees with you.
Vegas
bro.
believes. Vegas
that's
believes.
kind of nuts.
Well, they were favorites last week.
Yeah, that's what I was because when you were saying that, I was like, 2 weeks ago they were definitely still favorites. Right? They're still favorites last week. That's nuts.
I think so, but Lamar's
It
going
looks
to be
like
healthy.
some places actually still have the Raven. It depends on which sportsbook, I guess.
That's hilarious. Vegas believes me.
1 in 5, man.
1 in 5, 2, 11 and 6.
They're 3 games back.
I think so. Because the Steelers have had a bye, and then the Ravens.
So I guess they're thinking they play them twice with Lamar.
Yeah.
You could realistically, you're only 1 game behind if they win both those games, and then you're betting on Lamar to win more games than the Steelers win more. So,
Which I think is a great bet.
See the logic there? I don't know if I agree, but
Lock it in. Lock it in. So that will conclude tonight's edition of Sunday Morning Slants. Let us know your thoughts on my Ravens take, as well as some of the other things we talked about tonight. Was Sean Payton out of line? Did the Broncos win or did the Giants lose? What do we think the Eagles are going to do moving forward with Brandon Graham and at the trade deadline? Let us know your thoughts down below. But appreciate everybody for listening tonight. Sorry for that weird delay.